All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to Abba Shamahim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Shalom, Tavon, man. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? So all esteem, praise, honor be ascribed to Abba and Shamahim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Shalom, Brother Reynolds. Shalom, Jay. Ezra chapter 6, verse 7. Let the work of this house of Elohim alone, let the governor of the Yahudim and the elders of the Yahudim build this house of Elohim in its place. Moreover, I make a decree what you shall do to the elders of these Yahudim for the building of this house of Elohim, that the king's goods of the tribute beyond the river, forthwith expenses be given unto these men, that they be not hindered. And that which you have need of, both young bullocks, lambs for burnt offerings of the Elohim and Shamahim, salt, wine, and oil, according to the appointment of the priest, which at Jerusalem, let it be given them day by day without fail, that they may offer the sacrifices of sweet savors unto the Elohim and Shamahim, and pray for the life of the king and of his sons. Let's take a look at Psalm 54. We'll also look at that back end of make a prayer for the kings and his sons. Shalom, Brother Marcus, man. Let's get this rolling, man. We got a lot to do and a little bit of time. Save me, O Elohim, by your name, and judge me by your strength. Hear my prayer, O Elohim, give ear to the words of my mouth. For strangers are risen up against me, and oppressors seek after my soul. They have not set Elohim before them. Selah. Behold, Elohim, my helper. The Lord with them that uphold my soul. He shall reward evil unto my enemies, cut them off in your truth. I will freely sacrifice unto you. I will praise your name, O Yahuah, for it is good. Now, of course, we were talking about confession on Wednesday. I'm gonna come back on the double back. Come on, Civic. I need Romans chapter 10, man. Give me verse 3.
And did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink.
That's not Romans chapter 10. That's First Corinthians chapter 10. So you done came back around here with the shenanigans.
For they, being ignorant of Elohim's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of Elohim. For Mashiach, the end of the law, for righteousness to everyone that believe. For Moses described the righteousness which is of the law, that the man which do those things shall live by them.
Give them Leviticus 18 so they know where that come from. 18 and 1.
Yahuah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal.
What he said to him?
Saying to them, I am Yahuah your Elohim.
I'm who?
Yahuah your Elohim.
After what?
The doings of the land of Egypt, wherein you dwell.
You shall not what?
Do.
Paul, shalom, Mother Sharon. See, let me tell y'all something, man. See, you only want to talk about Egypt and forfeit the idols, but them people had a lot of stuff going on. You understand me? I just seen somebody had commented, responded to something I had talking to my man on the YouTube video about, man, in regards to talking about, black men in movies wearing dresses. And everybody be thinking, Illuminati. If you ain't been around here before, I'm finna tell you, man, if you still screaming about stuff as Illuminati, get off the internet, man. You ain't really took no time. You just regurgitating something you seen in another YouTube video. You know what I'm talking about? Like before the internet was a thing, man, we was studying the Illuminati and all that stuff. It definitely wasn't the stuff that niggas be talking about now. Now, of course, you should have enough wherewithal to know that these people worship ancient deities. Now, we know about the ancient deity Happy, which is the transsexual deity, which is why you see the pushing and pressing of transsexualism in this particular society, along with other particular societies, because it's the veneration of a particular deity. See, it's a lot of things that these people do. It's another backwards way to get you inclined to worship the gods of antiquity. You just think it's some random stuff that they got you doing. You just think it's an agenda for this, that, there, and the third. No, they want you to participate in the worship of idols, whether you know you're doing it or not. They want you to condone the worship of idols, whether you know you're doing it or not. They don't care. You think, oh, they selling their soul for fame. You sell your soul every day for nothing. For nothing. Do this for him, Sid. 1 John 3 and 8. After that, John 8 and 44. After that, Genesis chapter 3. Verse about 14. Come on with it, man. 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. This nigga eat with chopsticks.
Whosoever commits sin transgress also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law.
I said 1 John chapter 3, verse 8. You read verse 4.
You said to start it.
I ain't tell you to start right there. I said John 8 and 44 after that.
He that commits sin is of the devil.
He that do what?
Commit sin is of the devil.
He that do what?
Commit sin is of the devil.
So it don't matter if them people selling their soul. If you commit sin, you are the devil, so you in the same boat. At least they getting some money. You ain't getting nothing. John 8 and 44.
You are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do.
The what?
The lust of your father you will do.
The what?
The lust of your father you will do.
Go ahead.
He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there's no truth in him.
Ain't no faithfulness in it.
When he speak of his own,
because he's what?
He is a liar.
And the what?
Father of it.
Give him Genesis 10:14. That's why the sacrifices of the wicked are an abomination, and even much more when you bring it with a wicked mind.
And Yahuah Elohim said unto the serpent,
what he said,
because you have done this, you cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go.
Upon your what?
Your belly you shall go.
Now, why is that important? Go ahead.
And dust shall you eat all the days of your life.
What does that mean, y'all? Who can tell me what does that mean? Upon his belly he shall go, and dust he gonna eat all the days of his life. Because you think snakes out here eat dust? What does that mean? What does that mean that he go about his belly and the dust he gonna eat? They ain't moving swift, City. Come on, man. Philippians 3 and 17.
Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk so as you have us for an ensample. For many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you even weeping, are the enemies of the cross of Mashiach.
They are what?
Enemies of the cross of Mashiach.
They are what? Shalom, my G.
Enemies of the cross of Mashiach, whose end destruction, whose Elohim their belly, and his esteem.
Their Elohim is what?
Their belly.
Their Elohim is what?
Their belly.
Go ahead.
And esteem in their shame, who mind earthly things.
They mind what?
Earthly things.
Now, see, that's what Darius just stated, and Caleb just said the same thing, and Michael also. See, when your God is your belly, and the serpent was cursed to go about his belly, and he said, you of your father the devil. I guess you know what that means. Remember what Yahushua said to Peter. Get it for him. Matthew 16 and 19. Make it 16 and 16.
And Simon Peter answered and said, you are the Mashiach, the son of the living Elohim. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, Baruch are you, Simon Barjona, for flesh and blood have not revealed unto you, but my Abba which is in Shamayim. And I say also unto you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my assembly, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give unto you the keys of the kingdom of Shamayim, and whatsoever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in Shamayim. And whatsoever you shall loose on earth shall be loosed in Shamayim. Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that it was Yahushua HaMashiach.
That's right.
From the time forth began Yahushua to show unto his disciples how that he must go into Jerusalem and suffer many things of the
Remember,
elders.
he said that men were enemies of the state. To be an enemy of the stake of Mashiach is to be an enemy of self-control. To be an enemy of the stake of Mashiach is to be an enemy of sacrifice to Elohim. The very shalom, brother Ellis, the very things we've been looking at for the sacrifice of thanksgiving and praise. That wouldn't mean to be an enemy of the state. He says, take up your stake daily and follow him. He said, let this mind be in you. He that suffered in the flesh ceased from sin. You know what I'm talking about? How Mashiach suffered in the flesh. Likewise, arm yourselves with the same mind. So when you're an enemy of the state, see, a lot of people got upset with me this afternoon because she started talking about men are maintainers and not providers. I don't care about if she see a man as a provider. I genuinely don't care. But when she said a maintainer, she said it's a man's duty to maintain the wealth that a woman has already created. I say, baby, that means he a help me. And if the man is a help me, that's an abomination before God. She got upset and went to talking all this stuff about the word and this, that, there, and the third. But it's just the mindset of who the hell want to be married to a woman like that? You think it's going to come into your life and help you maintain? That's backwards. For a godly man, for a damn fool, it means nothing. Because see, you're partners. No, you're not partners. You know how you're not partners? Because who was the head of man?
Mashiach.
So Mashiach ain't no partner with you. See, partners have equal footing. They have equal power. They have equal say. This man ain't no partner with you. He ain't coming to check with you about what he gonna do. Matter of fact, this man say that he will only fulfill your prayers if they are what? According to his will. So you can ask for whatever you want, but if it's not a part of what he want done, he ain't doing it. See, if you're a partner, you can say, no, I'm doing this anyway, regardless if you were going to do it or not. Then he say the man is the head of the woman. And if the man and the woman's dynamic is supposed to be representative of a Mashiach and the church, then somebody's in trouble because this makes no sense. You know what I'm talking about? Because why would I do that? What the hell I look like maintaining? That means I got to come into your life and help you with what you doing. I ain't nobody's help me. I wasn't created to be a help me. And I absolutely and utterly refuse to become one. That means I'm compromising my manhood. And there ain't no woman on this earth worth compromising my manhood for. Yeah, at the end of the day, that means I need you to function as a man. See, this ain't even got nothing to do. This is about your manhood. You just can't give up your manhood for convenience. Because it seems good, because that's where society going. This your manhood you talking about. That's the only thing you got. If you ain't got your manhood, what do you have? If you don't have your godliness, if you don't have your manhood, if you don't have your dignity, if you don't have your self-respect, what do you have as a man? You have nothing. You have nothing. No woman on earth, no person on earth, to be told, is the worth the sacrificing of your manhood. It's not worth it. You know what I'm talking about? No situation you could put yourself in life is worth sacrificing your manhood. Man, I heard a doggone story, dude talking about how he let a man rape him in prison. Boy, you gonna kill me, boy. I'm not giving up my manhood for convenience or comfortability or to keep the peace or to satisfy another person. I refuse. That's a disgrace to my father. Much less before we talk about Yahuah and I'm in heaven. Well, that's a disgrace to the man whose seed I come from. You can't never compromise your manhood. You can't do it. Who cares what they say? If they don't like you, so what? If they get offended, so what? That's your problem. You care too much. What's going on, Sean, my G? You care too much, man. It's your manhood, bro. Because if you compromise your manhood, you'll compromise godliness. You'll compromise it in the heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? You'll compromise it in the heartbeat. People don't understand that. People don't understand. It's real easy. See, we live in society now that everything you get told is to do is to please and satisfy a woman to the compromising of your manhood. How you going to be able to serve God if you constantly and consistently compromising your manhood? You're not going to be able to do it because you're going to compromise him. Because you're going to go against him to please them. That's what you're going to do every time. And you know what the sad part is? All the elements. I don't know if some of y'all seen that clip. I guess TD Jakes had them Christian folks upset. You know what I'm saying? He had them Christian folks upset. Because he say you telling them women, man, stop telling a man how to be a father. And you ain't never been a man. And he saying most of y'all ain't had no daddy. You know what I'm talking about? So how you going to speak on that? You can't speak on that. But the aspect of what has been told in this particular society of what makes a man is always to the benefit of how it benefits everybody but that man. You know what I'm talking about? Everything a man got to do is got to benefit everybody else, whether he gets a benefit from it, and he supposed to just skin and grin like that's the move, and they make you see that's what a real man would do. You crazy in your scalp, nigga. You got to be absolutely crazy in your scalp to think I'm supposed to live my life to make sure that everybody is satisfied and everybody get a benefit and I get nothing. And that means I'm a real man. That doesn't make me a man. That makes me a jackass and a fool. You know what I'm talking about? That would that make me. Because I ain't nothing but somebody's hamster monkey running in a circle so everybody can use me for entertainment and use me up and discard me when I'm of no benefit to them. See, that's why I shared what Jason Black just mentioned. I've been telling you that for years. He just put it in a good example when he said the Gucci's, the Rothschilds, the Patels. But I use a family that I know from looking at them my entire life because I've been watching their company. When you look at the World Wrestling Federation, Vince McMahon got the company from his daddy, but his 2 children. Shane McMahon, before he had opportunity to be an executive in that company, that man was a referee. And then he worked his way up to be on-air talent before his father gave him an opportunity to run the company. Stephanie was a model in the magazine. You know what I'm talking about? Before she did all that, what was the point of that? You had to work in the company before you could run the company because you got to be invested. If you're not invested in it, then you're not going to value it and appreciate it. So that means if I do X, Y, Z for you, you're not going to value it. You're going to feel like that's what I ought to do. And when you turn around and you look at Yahuah, before you can run a congregation, boy, you got to be invested in it. You got to actually be doing some work in a different type of fashion that ain't got nothing to do with teaching, man. Because you got to be invested into the endeavor before he'll allow you to actually run it. Most people want stuff, but you don't want to invest nothing into it. That's why you don't value it. That's why you got to take up your stake and sacrifice yourself. How else you going to be invested? How else you going to value this unless you invest your life into it? And if you're not willing to sacrifice yourself, then you're not going to be invested because you ain't got nothing at stake. You ain't got no skin in the game, so you don't care. You know what I'm talking about? See, most dudes think you get a woman, you get everything what she wants, but she's not invested. So what's the point? What's the point? I just was talking to a young lady about this here. You know, you always hear women say this here, right? That men are supposed to be what? Men are hunters. Man, our people wasn't no damn hunters. What did the book say our people was when we were in Egypt? What does your law say that your forefathers was when they were in Egypt? And the Egyptians held them as an abomination. Y'all don't know what y'all forefathers did for a living in Egypt? Say what? No, they wasn't husbandmen, not in Egypt, though they was in the land. Shepherds, that's right, brother. Remember, they were shepherds. Our people ain't never been no hunters. You ain't never been on no Serengeti hunting no doggone animals. You ain't never did none of that. And Mother Sharona, you were shepherds and husbandmen, farmers. That's what you did for a living. You know what I'm talking about? Because you got to realize that we done talked about it before. No man in ancient society pursued women. That was conversations done between men, between parents. Nobody went and looked for a wife. Nobody was out here dating nobody. That's a Western thing. That's an Anglo-Saxon type of deal. That's not our thing. I done told you this before, and I am a firm believer in it, that dating leads to whoredom. You know what I'm talking about? That's what it leads to. Men pursuing women leads to whoredom. And how does it lead to whoredom? It leads to whoredom in 2 areas. One, you're negating the fact that women want sex just as much as men do. See, this thought process that only men want sex and men are manipulating women out of their bodies is a pure and utter fallacy to cover up the fact that women want sex just as much, if not more than men. See, the thought process is that women don't want sex a lot. It's not that they don't want sex a lot. It's that a lot of women are with men who they don't find sexually attractive. So therefore, they are not inclined to have sex with them. You find a woman who is sexually attracted to a man and she will have sex with him every day of the week, whenever possible. And some of them so nasty, they don't even wait for their cycle to end. They say, bump it. Come on through. That's the reality of it. See, I know I done told y'all this before, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. Some of y'all ain't been out here in these streets, man. Some of y'all living in the fantasy world of who you believe yourself to be as a woman versus what's really going on out here. Because anybody who's been out here, they know what's going on out here. And it ain't no whole bunch of dudes like, come here, girl, let me get you out that coochie. Boy, these young girls been popping coochie out of both panty legs since middle school. You know what I'm talking about? And most of y'all been on the college campus. You know what them heifers out there doing. You know what I'm talking about? These men ain't even got to manipulate them that hard. They coming out the door ready. Let's not act like, let's just keep it 100, man, and keep it real about what's going on in real life. Because see, we ain't never going to get better as a group of people if we just act like things ain't happening that we know are happening. that people aren't behaving the way that we know they behaving. Because it's not like these women virgins when dudes running across them. Dudes running across them, she had already been with said-made dudes. And you think somebody's supposed to treat her like a young maiden? Are you insane? Man, there's some stuff these women done did out here that they'll take to the grave. That if this man knew that, you would be like, oh, no. And you think somebody, come on, man, you got to keep it real with yourself. Because we're not going to get better if we don't keep it real with ourselves. People are inclined to sexual gratification. You can't turn around and say, well, if you ain't going to marry a woman and don't have sex with her, well, tell that woman if she don't want to be tied to a man, keep your leg closed. If you want a higher caliber man, keep your leg closed. If you want to be treated a certain type of way by men, keep your leg closed. And then you can get that. You can't demand virgin treatment and you ain't no virgin. It's the same token that a man can't demand certain submission and you broke. You can't demand that and you ain't got no money. You can't demand that and you ain't got nowhere you trying to go. Well, you can't demand virgin treatment and you ain't no virgin. You can't demand that because what am I getting for it? Well, you got dudes out here, I done told you, you got dudes out here telling niggas they ought to pay dowries for non-virgins. I wish I would. What the hell I look like doing that for? What am I paying for? The greatest value that you had, you done already gave that away. What am I paying that for that for? I'm not for that. We can sit down and have a conversation and we can iron something out. You got to be the dumbest nigga in captivity if you pay a woman who done been with 10 niggas a dowry. You stupid as hell. You got to be stupid. You know what I'm talking about? Matter of fact, you ain't stupid. You a trick. That's what you is. And that's why these women behave the way that they behave. Because they know it's a damn fool that'll pay for that. That's not to denigrate no woman. That's for you to have some goddamn sense, boy. Gotta use your brain. And that'll teach you to teach your daughter to do better. See, that's our problem. You don't want to teach nobody to do better because your law say don't prostitute your daughter. It'll cause the land to fall in the hoarder. That's what your law say. So that means you got to take what you did wrong because it's over with for you. It's the same token what it is for a young man. When I say it's over with for you, meaning you can't go back in the past and recapture your youth and make better decisions at that time in your life. It's the same token. I got 5 felony convictions. I can't go back to 2004. I can't go back to 2002 and correct that. That's done. That's over with. I can't do nothing but take that situation and information and show my son or show another young man, say, hey, man, this ain't what you do when you faced with this type of deal. I done already went through that. You ain't got to do that. This what's going to happen to you if you do. Well, you got to take that information. It's too late for you, baby. You done gave up your virginity. That's done. But you can teach your daughter to do better. You can teach the younger women to do better and make them understand the pitfalls of moving in a hot fashion. But see, we don't want to do that because you want to maintain a particular thought process of how people do you versus what you was really out here doing, because then you're going to have to acknowledge that you squandered your youth in a particular fashion. And what did you learn from it? Instead of dwelling on what you squandered, instead of dwelling on your mistakes, what did you learn from it? How can you be better for it? And how can you teach somebody not to fall in the same trap? We don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the youth keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying? And that's why when we hear these things, we get pricked in our heart because you thinking like you still in that position. See, the only way that should prick your heart is if you still living like that. And when I say still living like that, meaning you still thinking like a whore. You still thinking like a sinner. You still, that's why that's going to bother you. When you're not thinking like that, you're going to take that information and you're going to say, boy, I can take this and get this to the youth. Whether they use it or not, that's on them. But I can take it to them. I can share it with them and show them this is not the way you want to go. I know this from firsthand experience. You know what I'm talking about? We don't like doing that. Because you don't want, because a lot of people don't want nobody to know what they really was out here doing. You know what I'm talking about? We don't be really wanting people to know what we was really out here doing. But how's the youth gonna be better? Matter of fact, how you gonna be better? We just read it the other day, Wednesday. He said, "He that covereth his sin shall not what? he won't prosper. See, we don't be wanting really, hey man, all us been degenerates, man, it's okay. Ain't a sin anybody committed that is mutually exclusive to you. But it's about the youth, man. Like I said, it's over with for us. Our youth is gone. Them decisions have been made. Those life events have happened. What you gonna do with that information that you gained from that? From what not to do? And see, I ain't talking about the general, you know, I was out here. Nah, man, keep it a buck. Man, if you bust down and let it be known, boy, it don't pay to be no bust down. You know what I'm talking about? Because look here, man, I'm telling you, I know a few women from high school niggas ran trains on. They married now. You think they husbands know that? As a man, you want to be married to a woman who let 5, 6 dudes hear that one time? Well, she in the word that I wouldn't care what she was in. I don't want that. I damn sure ain't paying for it. Well, if I were a married woman, I know she done had a train on. She gonna work every day of her life. I'm talking about every day of her life. I'm talking about every single solitary day. Ain't no way in the world. I'm talking about she gonna work till she's 65. Cause boy, I'm not solely providing for no woman who you done did that. Oh, absolutely not. No way in the world. You know how crazy our people live? A woman will know her husband getting hit in the booty hole and stay with it. You know what I'm talking about? You supposed to get rid of that nigga too. How you gonna sit there and mess with a dude that you know he's a Peter Puffer? No, don't throw it in his face. That's what he like. Leave it. Come on, man. Where you at, man? You still in Leviticus 18.
Matthew 16.
Matthew 16. Come on, keep going. I'm trying to tell you.
Verse 21.
Verse 21.
From that time forth began Yahuah to show unto his disciples how he must go into Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and be raised again the third day. Mm-hmm. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from you, Master, this shall not be unto you. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get you behind me, Satan. You are an offense unto me, for you favor not the things that be of Elohim,
but a man. See, when he called him the adversary, that's what you got to understand. That would make you adversarial. It's because you savor the things that be a man and the things of the earth and not the things of Shamahim. We don't like to consider those things because you think he calling him the devil itself. Satan is also, it just means adversary. You have the adversary and you can still be an adversary and not be the devil. That doesn't mean the devil was in Peter. Peter was being adversarial in that moment because he was thinking carnally. He didn't know what the script said, what had to happen to this man. He didn't know any of that. See, one of the biggest problems we come across is that you adversarial because you thinking carnally. That's why I said you can't compromise your manhood. When you compromise your manhood, you're not thinking manly. So there's no way that when it comes to the word that you're going to spiritually, you're going to be carnal and you're going to compromise the spiritual for the carnal to please others. Because that's what the flesh seeks to do, is to please others. You're a man. That's not your job. There's a difference from being a servant and being a pleaser. Leviticus 18:1.
Yahuah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasharal, and say unto them, I am Yahuah your Elohim. After the doings of the land of Egypt wherein you dwelt, shall you not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, where I bring you, shall you not do, neither shall you walk in their ordinances.
Notice that he said, right, the way that them people live, you shouldn't do it. We love to say the white man came up with it. Boy, them were Africans in that land. Them were Hamites in that land playing with booty hole. That's what they was in there doing. Worshiping other gods and participating in sex orgies. Cross-dressing. Worshiping homosexual gods. Puffing on Peters. Ejaculating on lettuce and seeking to sodomize men. That's what they were doing. Go ahead.
You shall do my judgments and keep my ordinances to walk therein. I, Yahuah your Elohim. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments. Which, if a man do,
he shall what?
Live in them.
I,
Yahuah.
That's why he told you that. Come back to Romans 10. He said, hey, man, if you do that, you got to live in it, man. You got to live in that. That means you can't sin, you can't do nothing because you got to live in that, boy. You can't go contrary to that law now time. Not nan time. That man don't want to talk. Go ahead. See, it's funny is that a lot of people who, especially those who say they don't believe in Mashiach or don't have an understanding of who he is and what he came to do. See, that's what that we all sinners, but then you justifying the aspect that you need a redeemer. You're letting that be known because your law does not give any instance for you being a sinner. Your law say you gotta die. There's no grace in it. There's no mercy in your law. There's no grace or mercy in the first covenant at all. Search it, study it, seek it out. You'll see it ain't there. Go ahead.
I'm in verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
But the righteousness which is of faith, speak on this wise.
What's that?
Say not in your heart, who shall ascend into Shamahim, that is to bring Hamashiach down, or who shall descend into the deep, that is to bring up Hamashiach again from the dead. But what saith it? The word is near you, in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of faith which we preach.
Go ahead and give them Deuteronomy 30 and 10. So if they didn't know where that came from, they know now.
If you shall hearken unto the voice of Yahuah Elohim to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, if you turn unto Yahuah Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul.
And what else?
For this commandment, which I command you this day, is not hidden from you.
It's not what?
Hidden from you.
It's not what?
Hidden from you.
Okay.
Neither is it far off.
It's not what?
Far off.
It ain't far away.
It is not in Shamahim that you should say, who shall go up for us, Shamahim, and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very near unto you, in your mouth, in your heart, in your mouth,
and where? In
your heart,
and where?
That you may do it.
That you may what?
Do it.
That's the law of faith right there. Come on back to Romans 10. What you need, Drew? That boy having hard eating. Romans 10, verse 9.
That if you shall confess with your mouth the Master Yahushua and shall believe in your heart that Elohim have raised him from the dead, you shall be saved.
You shall be what?
You shall be saved.
That's right.
For with the heart man believe unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. For the scriptures say, whosoever believe on him shall not be ashamed. For there's no difference between the Yahudim and the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him.
Go ahead.
Whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved.
Shall be what?
Shall be saved.
Shall be what?
Shall be saved. How then shall they call on him whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher?
How shall they what?
Hear without a preacher.
Now, let me ask y'all this question. Let me see if y'all remember. Where can you prove what Paul just read that again?
How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed?
How shall they call on him whom they have not what?
Believed.
And how shall they believe on him
whom they have not heard?
And how shall they hear
without a preacher?
And how shall they
preach
except they what?
Be sent.
So as it is written.
How beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of shalom and bring glad tidings of good things.
Let me ask y'all this question. We went over this not too long ago. Where can you find what he said in the law at? Where can you find that at in the law? How can they believe on him whom they have not heard? And how can they believe except they have a preacher? That's what he said, right? It's in your law. Who remembers? We talked about it.
That was Moses when he heard their crying.
Oh no, that ain't it. That ain't it. You can't call on him whom you have not believed, and you can't believe in him whom you've not heard, and you can't hear without a preacher. So where's that in your law? Because it's there. It ain't gonna say it like that word for word. It ain't gonna say it like that at all. You got to have some understanding. Oh no, I ain't do it the other day. We did it a couple months ago. Anybody? Abraham? No, ma'am. That ain't gonna answer. A person is not gonna really answer this. You're gonna have to show forth your understanding to be able to answer this question. It's all good because I ain't got all night.
Is this when he showed them the signs and stuff?
I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, because they ain't heard of him. They couldn't believe on him until he had Moses show them the signs.
Exodus chapter 3. It ain't the signs. It ain't just no signs. Because he said who they could hear. Signs ain't hearing, but you in the general vicinity. Exodus chapter 3. Verse 13.
And Moses said unto Elohim, behold, when I come unto the children of Yasharal, and shall say unto them, the Elohim of your fathers have sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them?
This is a common misconception that a lot of Brews state. Your forefathers in Egypt at the time of their deliverance did not know Yahuah, had no knowledge of Yahuah. They were not called. We already looked at that when we looked at that in Exodus when he said they heard their groaning. They were groaning. They weren't calling on Yahuah. How could they call on Yahuah and you got Moses saying, when they ask me what your name is, what I'm supposed to tell them? That's a conflation of your own mind. Guess what? It's the same token in the time period you living in now. You had a lot of Bible. You could have been saying Jehovah, Yahweh. I don't care what you were saying. You still didn't know God, though. You didn't know him, so you couldn't call on him. You thought knowing his name mean calling on him. Oh, no. Listen to him again. Listen to what he says, man. Verse 13 one more time.
And Moses said unto Elohim, behold, I come unto the children of Yasharal, and shall say unto them, the Elohim of your fathers have sent me unto you. And they shall say to me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them?
Elohim said what?
I am that I am.
And he said,
thus shall you say unto the children of Yasharal. I am, have sent me unto you.
Elohim said,
moreover unto Moses, you shall you say unto the children of Yasharal, Yahuah Elohim of your fathers,
the Elohim
of Abraham,
the Elohim
of Isaac,
the Elohim
of Jacob,
have what?
Sent me unto you.
He did what?
Sent me unto you.
How can they preach except what?
Sent.
Okay, listen to him.
This my name forever. This my memorial unto all generations.
Listen what he say.
Go and gather the elders of Yasharal together.
And say what to him?
Unto them, the Yahuah Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob,
have what?
Appeared unto me.
I have what?
Surely visited you.
And
seen that which is done to you in Egypt.
Now that's good. Come over here to Exodus chapter 4. Pick it up at verse 10. This where you see the second apostle in the text. Adam, the first apostle in the text. Moses is the next apostle in the text. That's a man who's taught by God and not man.
And Moses said unto Yahuah, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore nor since you have spoken unto your servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue.
What Yahuah said to him?
Who have made man's mouth? Or who made the dumb or deaf or the seeing or the blind?
Have not I?
Yahuah.
Not therefore do what?
Go and I will be with your mouth.
And he gonna do what?
Teach you what you shall say.
See, that's why he can tell you, no, that's how you know Moses had the Ruach with him. Ain't that's what Yahushua told you? Don't meditate what you're gonna say in that hour. Because the Ruach HaKodesh will give you that word. Now, I'm just showing that Yahuah taught him. Now, drop down to verse 27, and you can see, right? The people didn't know Yahuah. Remember, he telling Moses to get ready to show these signs because the people don't know Yahuah. So how was they going to believe on someone whom they've never heard of? We don't even want to even pay attention to that because you think this man just writing letters and your law showing you that. You just can't jump up and say, I believe in God because I'm an Israelite. You jackass, you still ain't never heard of the man. You still don't know him. You don't even know why you believe in him. I believe in him because the law, statutes, and commandments. I need a stone tablet to slap you with. Because before he gave them stones 10 tablets, this man showed forth why they ought to believe in him. You don't understand when he told these men dropped their word on them. It wasn't no laws given, boy. Because faith come by hearing and hearing come by the word. Faith don't come by the law, man. Stop telling people that. Verse 27, man. It's Exodus chapter 4.
And Yahuah said to Aaron, go into the wilderness to meet Moses. And he went and met him in the mount of Elohim and kissed him.
And Moses did what?
Told Aaron all the words of Yahuah
who had what?
Sent him.
Who did what?
Sent him.
Who did what?
Sent him.
How can they preach except they be sent? And he gonna bring tidings of peace and great joy. That's what he showed them people. He was showing the people how they were gonna come out. Not how not to eat pork and play with booty hole. That wasn't what he's showing them people. What are you gonna show them that for? You being oppressed, you groaning because of heavy affliction and oppression, and you think I'm finna come talk to you about shellfish and pork chops? You got to be backwards, man. Come on, man. Doris.
And all the signs which he had commanded him, And Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Yasharal.
And what Aaron did?
Spake like all the words which Yahuah had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the
and
people.
And the people what?
Believe.
And the people what?
Believe. And when they heard.
No, and the people what?
Believe.
And then when they what?
Heard.
That Yahuah had what?
Visited the children of Yasharal.
And that he looked upon
their affliction.
Then they did what?
Bowed their heads in worship.
So he said, how can they call on him whom they have not heard? And how can they believe? You can't do it. You see that? That's that Romans 10 right there now. The people couldn't call on him because they didn't believe in him. They couldn't believe in him because they never heard him. And they couldn't hear him because they never had a preacher. And they needed a preacher to be sent. And that's what Moses was. That's how you know Yahuah, son of Nun, is not that. Because the people already had. See, a lot of people say Yahuah, son of Nun, is a prophet like unto Moses. That's how I know you don't know your own law. How Yahuah, son of Nun, a prophet like unto Moses, when the people already had the word. So he wasn't bringing no word that them people had never heard. They already had it. They just rejected it in due time, but they already had it. When you were dealing with Achan, the people had that word. Yahuah told them, don't touch the accursed thing. See, I'm going to tell you something, man. It's Achans all across the globe, in assemblies all across the globe, always touching the accursed thing and sitting amongst the camp, getting people plagued because you don't know how to sit your funky behind down and stop fooling with stuff you ain't got no business fooling with. But we don't want to hear that. Because let black people tell it, niggas can't do no wrong. We God's people. We can't do no wrong. Where we was at before? I don't even know. Come on, man. That's everything we needed and everything I wanted. Leviticus chapter 7, man. We got to talk about a little confessing, man. I know it's tough. It is what it is. We'll be better for it when we cut the crap. If we don't do that, we always going to be on that back end. You know what it was? It was some stuff in 1 Kings chapter 8 that I wanted to elucidate on. Let's go there. Before we do that, what it is? What that is? 1 Chronicle chapter 7, man. Give me verse 10. Let me do that before we go. It's still dealing with confession. And this is how this is a sweet savor and a confession of thanksgiving. It's 2 Chronicle 7. My bad. Everybody know this passage in 2 Chronicle 7. It's everybody's favorite thing to talk about. 2 Chronicle chapter 7, 9. You can make it verse 9. 2 Chronicle 7, 9.
And in the 8th day, they made a solemn assembly, for they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days and the feast 7 days. And on the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away into their tents, glad and merry in the heart for the goodness that Yahuah had showed unto David.
Pause. This is the feast of dedication. Now I need the people on this screen, because I know the people in the room already know the answer to this question. When it's the feast of dedication, what time of year is it? When was this feast kept? Who can tell me? What feast is this? When was this feast kept? What month was it kept? Well, hold on. He just told you what month it was kept in, so you should have a good idea. Because Civic definitely just read what money was kept in, so that question is irrelevant. Anybody? That's Joanne? Where's she at? Where Muffin at? What, Muffin on the floor? Where Muffin at? Your butt don't hurt? Mother Sharona said winter and Hanukkah. The winter part is correct. The Hanukkah part is not. Get him John 10 and 22 real quick. And I'm going to show you why Mother Sharona said that, because of, again, bad teaching from a lot of brews. John 10 and 22.
And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of dedication.
Feast of what?
Dedication.
It was in where?
Winter.
No, started from the top. What
and it was at Jerusalem.
It was at where?
Jerusalem.
And it was what?
And it was winter.
It was what?
Winter.
Get him Genesis 8:22. Just so y'all know, it's for those of you who don't know, it's only 2 seasons. There is no spring and fall. There is no such thing when it comes to Yahuah. There is no spring and fall. Ain't but 2 seasons.
While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease.
Summer and what?
Summer and winter.
Summer and what?
And winter
shall not what?
Cease.
Only 2 seasons. So that's why you got that winter. See, we want to think that Tabernacles is a fall feast. It ain't no fall feast. There's no such thing as fall. When the first day of the 7th month hit, it's winter time. When trumpets come in, it's winter time. Period. Winter, the seasons ain't got nothing to do with no solstices. It ain't got nothing to do with the weather. Ain't got nothing to do with the weather. People like this here, y'all keeping the New Year's in the wintertime, everything alive in the spring. You big dummy. Ain't no spring, it's summertime. And then on top of that, I'm only mentioning that because I tell you this every time when it comes, stop messing with these people about their New Year's. That's their New Year's. When you read Exodus 12:1, he said this is the beginning of months for who? You. Not the whole world, not the Egyptians, not the Romans, not for these people, for you. So why do you care what they doing? That's their stuff. That's their business. That ain't got nothing to do with you. He didn't give that instruction for the whole. See, you'll turn around and say the law for us, and then your law say this is the beginning of the month for you, and then you want to talk about these people about what they doing. Let them people worship their God, man. If they want to worship Kronos and Janus, let them do it. Only reason why I say it because you don't go to the Arabs about their New Year's. You don't talk about the Chinese people about their New Year's. You don't go to the Indian people about their New Year's. You want to act like January 1st is the only new year on the face of the planet. If you're going to do something, be consistent. That means you have to be knowledgeable about other cultures than America. And if you only want to be knowledgeable about America, that means really Mr. Charlie, your God on the low. Because the only person you focused on is Mr. Charlie. Well, these other races of people ain't focused on Mr. Charlie like you is. I'm just trying to give you some understanding. You can take and do what you want to with it. John 10:22, listen to him. Hold on. He said he tell you what the months are for seasons are for in preparation of harvest and seed time. That would be the in-between. It definitely does. He say, read it in Genesis 8:22 one more time. He definitely did now.
While the earth remains.
While the what?
Earth remains.
While the what?
Earth remains.
What else gonna remain?
Seed time and harvest.
Seed time and what?
Harvest.
Pause. Tell them what seed time means. I'm gonna give you some info while we talking about it. Tell them what seed time means. What's that? What's the word for seed time? That boy moving slow. He finna get fired, y'all. That boy took a week off. Doris, this what you do? This what you rocking with?
Yeah, the app ain't acting.
I blame it on Doris. It's Doris' fault. I ain't got no problem. You make the phone right. Not for real. I mean, y'all service bad.
Sometimes that be like that.
It do.
Seed time is Zerah.
Zerah, which is the same word. So when is seed time? When does the seed get planted? Seed get planted in the beginning of the year. When did the seed get planted? When the man got put in the grave. Did it not? Read it again. Yeah, because mine doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's just that I work on the East Forward. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest.
Now tell them what harvest means.
Kasir.
Which is harvest. When is harvest time? In gathering, tabernacles. In the wintertime. That's what tabernacles is about. It's an in-gathering feast. That's a feast of in-gathering. Seed time, while the earth remains. You ought to remember, right? We didn't talk about this, right? He said as long as the what remains?
The earth remains.
There'll be seed time and harvest time. And what else he said? Something in what?
Cold and heat.
Cold and heat. Guess what? Get him Isaiah 7 and not it's not 7. Get him Isaiah 49 and 14, man. Listen to it. I could have said Revelation. That's what I was thinking when I was thinking time. I don't want Revelation. I want you to see it out the text. Make it verse 11. Isaiah 49 and 11. Make it 10.
They shall not hunger nor thirst.
That's what I want. There it is.
Neither shall the heat nor sun smite them.
Neither shall the heat nor what?
Or sun smite
Neither
them.
and when the heat comes, in the summertime, go ahead.
For he that have mercy on them shall lead them. Even by the springs of water shall he guide them.
Now, see, this is in the book of Revelation, right? So if the heat nor sun won't smite them, what the book of Revelation tell you won't be in the kingdom of Shamahim after the new heaven and the new earth? He said there'll be no need for the sun nor the moon because Yahuah Elohim and the Lamb are the light of it. So when he tell you as long as the earth remains, see there'll be no more time for seed time for sowing the seed, because once the earth no longer remains, meaning a new heaven and a new earth, ain't no more word being spread because everything been gathered up. Everything has been gathered. The meat been brought into my storehouse. It's over with. But as long as this present earth remains in its present state, there can be a seed time and a harvest time. That's why you got to take opportunity for the word and save your soul. So when you come back over here to John 10 and 22, amen, Mother Sharona, that's exactly what that is. That mercy being elucidated in Genesis 8 and 22. See, we look at stuff and we miss. See, a lot of dudes who teach the word, they miss a lot of stuff. They need, what does he mean as long as the earth remains seed time and harvest time? Zorah, seed, not seeds of many, but seeds of one. That seed being the Mashiach. And you're not counted as a seed because the children of the flesh, but the children of the promise. So as long as the earth remains, seed can be sown, which means it can be harvested. It can be reaped at a later date. You know what I'm talking about? But once that new heaven and new earth comes, it's over. It's over. Go ahead. John 10 and 22. That's all.
And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication, and it was winter.
It was what?
It was winter.
Now come back to 2 Chronicles 7, man, and read verse 8. Because what does dedication mean? It means to sanctify. See, you sit back and you want to look at the first feast of dedication. I mean, the feast of dedication in Maccabees, but you don't want to see that when Solomon made the house of Yahuah, it was completed during tabernacles, and they sanctified and dedicated the house during tabernacles. You don't even want to even pay attention that the seed time and the harvest time, even though it wasn't tabernacles when he resurrected from the dead, was fulfilled in that, because it was seed time, and then he was harvested through the resurrection, through the sanctification of the temple, fulfilling both feast days at the same time. But you don't want to pay attention to that, because that don't matter to you, because you think that's Christian stuff or that's reaching. You're not paying attention to the operation of your God. That's why when he come back during tabernacles, that's what he going to do. He going to dedicate the house, meaning the body. He's going to sanctify it and set it apart. That's how that would be. You don't know when the Lord coming back. We don't know what day or what hour, but we know what feast he coming back. He coming back during tabernacles. Why would he not? How you know the law so well and you don't even know the man showing up on tabernacles? A literal feast that is called booths, a residence. He coming from take you from a temporary residence and to give you a permanent one. That's why he said, in my Abba's house, there's many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. He gonna make the booth for you. In the past for tabernacles, you had to make your own booth. You ain't got to make no booth for the last tabernacles. What feast you think he talking about when he say the marriage supper of the Lamb? It's the same doggone feast when Jacob said, give me my wives so I can have a feast, man. But you'll think, you just trying to act like you know more than everybody. That was wrong with you now. You think this is a competition. You think this is some type of scholastic penis sizing contest. Man, this also we talking about, man. How you going to be saved and you ain't got no understanding? How you going to serve a God you don't even know why you serving him and what you're doing? How you going to do it? How you study a law so much and still bereft of the understanding of it? But it's always in your mouth. You always talking about that which you don't know. And have the unmitigated gall to masquerade yourself as some type of expert. You're an expert in stupidity. Continue. 2 Chronicles 7 and 8.
Also at the same time, Solomon kept the feast 7 days.
Kept the what?
The feast 7 days.
What else?
And all Yasharah with them, a very great congregation, from entering in of Hamath unto the river of Egypt.
And in the 8th day,
they made a solemn assembly.
Now pause. They made a what?
A solemn assembly.
Man, it's only one. How many feast days your law say got a solemn assembly in it? Man, feast of dedication in Maccabees ain't no solemn assembly, boy. Solemn assembly, man. Tell them what it means. What's up with you, man? Sit down, man. Relax your nerves.
It's Atzarah, an assembly, especially on a festival or holy day. An assembly.
A festival or a Kadash day. That's what a solemn assembly is. And they said they kept that dedication of the altar for how many days?
7.
And the feast was how many days?
7.
Tell them what dedication means. I don't care what they did at Maccabees. I ain't got to go look in their apocrypha to see a feast of dedication. I can see one right here. That's what people like. See, he kept the feast that the Maccabees kept. Why would God keep the feast that the Maccabees kept? Why would he do that?
It's Chanukah. That is a consecration.
This is dedicated. So they consecrated the altar. And they did it during tabernacles, which is in the wintertime. Go ahead, man. Verse 10. 2 Chronicles 7:10.
And on the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away into their tents,
glad
and merry in heart.
For what?
For the goodness that Yahuah had showed unto David and to Solomon and to Yasharah his people.
Thus,
Solomon finished the house of Yahuah and the king's house, and all that came into Solomon's heart to make in the house of Yahuah and in his own house, he prosperously effected. And
tell him what prosperously effected means, man.
Salak, to push forward, to break out, to come, to go over, to be good, to be meat, be profitable.
He made it good, made it have some gain. Verse 12.
And Yahuah appeared to Solomon by night and
said unto him what?
I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place to myself for a house of sacrifice.
He chose this place to himself for a house of what?
Of sacrifice.
He said he heard your what?
Prayer.
He heard your what?
Prayer.
Give me Hebrew 5, man. Give me verse 9. He chose this place for a house of what? Sacrifice. Listen to it now.
Start from the top.
Hebrews 5 and 9.
And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation.
Make it 5 and 7.
Who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers
there we go.
And supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard in that he feared.
He was what? He was what?
Able to save him.
No, he was heard. And we just read right here, he said, I've heard your prayer and chosen you in this place. Read Hebrews 5 and 7 one more time.
Who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers.
Paul for a second. See, this is the thing you have to understand and remember, that the house of Yahuah was mainly for a house of sacrifice. That's why it was destroyed after Mashiach had sacrificed himself and went into Shamahim. There was no more need for it. Remember what Daniel said? He caused the sacrifice and oblation to what? To cease. See, my man Barry hit me up the other day, man, talking about, you know how people talk about a Daniel fast? You know, I ain't never been in no church, so that wasn't nothing relevant to me. But ain't no such thing as a Daniel fast. What people call a Daniel fast, do you know? Because I'm mentioning this because we're going to Daniel about confession, because he was in there doing it. Yeah, there ain't no such thing as a Daniel fast. See, Daniel restricted his food. We've talked about it before. He restricted what he ate for specific reasons. Not nigga talking about, I'm on a Daniel fast, I'm only eating vegetables. Shut your silly behind. You know what I'm saying? You sound dumb. You know why you sound dumb? And when I say sound dumb, meaning you don't know. Remember, you say you're a dumb dog. Dumb dog can't bark. This means you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing because somebody told you something and you didn't go examine the scriptures daily to see if those things were so. And that's what he said. They were more noble than those in Thessalonica, that they searched the scriptures daily to see if those things were so. So I've been telling y'all that the whole time, and y'all been coming around here. I wouldn't care what I said. I wouldn't care what we looked at. You still supposed to go back and look to make sure the book say that. If you ain't got enough sense to go back and look to see if the book say that, then that's on you. That is correct, sir. That is correct. And we finna look at it. The reason why I mentioned it, because I already had Daniel 9 in the clip, because when you get to what I just mentioned about him telling him how to sacrifice and oblation would cease, Daniel was confessing the sins of his people. And then you get to the next chapter, And you see where he said that he didn't eat any pleasant bread or drink wine for 21 days. You know what I'm saying? Or eat any flesh. That's where they get it in and say, oh, that's a Daniel fast. And they tie that in to Daniel chapter 1. But what was Daniel doing? Daniel was seeking to deny himself for the things that brought him pleasure. That's what he was doing. And it's showing you how to, hey, he that suffered in the flesh can cease from sin, because he was denying himself that in which he delighted in, because he delighted in Yahuah more. But see, we don't pay attention to none of that stuff. And then you got people say it's time for me to do my Daniel fast. A lot of people need to do a Daniel fast because you're fat. You could look at it as